In classic Hollywood, fame wasn't enough to protect you. One wrong political opinion and the whole world could turn against you. Today, we're digging into 9 legendary stars whose political beliefs made them some of the most hated, controversial, and targeted celebrities of the Golden Age. Today, we're uncovering 9 legends who paid dearly for their convictions. Get ready, because you won't find this. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin may be remembered as the greatest silent film comedian of all time, but behind the camera, he was one of the most politically explosive figures in classic Hollywood. Chaplin openly spoke against war, poverty, fascism, and the growing political tension in America, topics most actors were terrified to touch. His strong criticism of Hitler and his support for humanitarian causes made him a global icon, but in the United States, it turned him into a suspected enemy. Soon, powerful government agencies began labeling him a communist sympathizer, even though he insisted he wasn't tied to any political party. The media attacked him, politicians targeted him, and patriotic groups protested his films. The pressure became so intense that when Chaplin left for a European tour in 1952, the U.S. government revoked his re-entry permit, effectively banning him from the country he helped entertain for decades. His political voice cost him everything. John Wayne. John Wayne wasn't just a Hollywood superstar. He was a symbol of American patriotism, toughness, and conservative values. But his political stance made him one of the most divisive figures of classic Hollywood. Wayne was a proud supporter of right-wing politics and served as the president of the Motion Picture Alliance for the Preservation of American Ideals, a group that actively pushed for the investigation and blacklisting of suspected communists in the film industry. While many admired him for defending American traditions, others saw him as a dangerous figure who used his power to silence opposing voices. Wayne publicly criticized actors, writers, and directors who leaned left, creating bitter enemies within Hollywood. His comments about civil rights and his controversial interviews fueled even more anger. Despite being a beloved Western hero, Wayne's off-screen beliefs made him one of the most politically hated stars of his generation. His legacy remains fiercely debated even today. Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda was Hollywood royalty, but one political decision nearly destroyed her entire career. During the Vietnam War, Fonda became an outspoken anti-war activist, joining protests across the United States. But everything changed in 1972 when she traveled to North Vietnam. A single photograph of her sitting on an enemy anti-aircraft gun, intended as a symbolic moment, turned into one of the most shocking controversies in American history. The media exploded, veterans were outraged, and many labeled her a traitor. For years, theaters boycotted her films, and some Americans refused to even speak her name. Fonda insisted her intentions were peaceful, but the damage was done. Her political activism overshadowed her talent, earning her more enemies than fans at the time. Though she eventually rebuilt her career, the nickname Hanoi Jane followed her for decades, proving how one political stance can haunt even the biggest Hollywood star. Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando was more than a Hollywood legend. He was a force of rebellion, both on-screen and off. At a time when most actors stayed silent, Brando fearlessly used his fame to challenge political systems and social injustices. He marched with Martin Luther King Jr., supported civil rights groups, and publicly condemned racism in America. His activism instantly made him a target. Studios complained that Brando was too political, accusing him of bringing controversy wherever he went. But the biggest shock came during the 1973 Oscars, when he refused to accept his Best Actor award for The Godfather. Instead, he sent Native American activist Sachin Littlefeather to speak about indigenous rights. The audience booed, Hollywood turned on him, and the media erupted with anger. Brando didn't apologize. He believed his career was worth sacrificing for justice, even if the world hated him for it. His political courage made him unforgettable and deeply controversial. Ronald Reagan. Before he ever stepped into the White House, Ronald Reagan was already one of Hollywood's most politically explosive figures. As a rising actor in the 1940s, Reagan became deeply involved in anti-communist movements, believing the film industry was under threat from radical ideology. He served as president of the Screen Actors Guild and openly supported investigations into suspected communist writers, directors, and performers. To some people, he was a patriotic hero protecting American values. But to many others, especially within Hollywood, Reagan was seen as a traitor to his own colleagues. His support for blacklisting ended politics, which only increased the hatred from those who felt he abused his power. Long before he became president, Reagan was already one of the most politically divisive stars Hollywood had ever produced. Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn wasn't just a Hollywood icon. She was a fierce, independent thinker whose political beliefs often clashed with America's conservative climate. Known for her sharp tongue and defiant attitude, Hepburn openly supported liberal causes at a time when most actresses stayed silent to protect their careers. She backed workers' rights, civil rights, and progressive politics, making her a target for right-wing critics who believed Hollywood was becoming too radical. Hepburn refused to play the obedient studio puppet. She spoke boldly in interviews, attacked government censorship, and defended artists who were being blacklisted during the Red Scare. This made powerful groups, and even some studios, deeply uncomfortable. Rumors spread that she sympathized with communists, and she was frequently criticized for her outspoken views. Yet, Hepburn never backed down. Her political courage earned her enemies, but it also cemented her legacy as one of the most fearless stars of classic Hollywood. Humphrey Bogart. Humphrey Bogart may have been Hollywood's ultimate tough guy hero, but off-screen, his political choices placed him in the center of one of the industry's biggest storms. In the late 1940s, Bogart joined a group of influential stars and filmmakers protesting government investigations into alleged communist activity in Hollywood. They called themselves the Committee for the First Amendment, and Bogart became one of its loudest voices. At first, many admired his courage, but when the backlash hit, everything changed. Studios panicked, moviegoers turned suspicious, and the press attacked the group relentlessly. Under immense pressure, Bogart eventually distanced himself from the movement, claiming he had been misled. This angered both sides. Liberals accused him of abandoning the cause, while conservatives no longer trusted him. For a time, Bogart's political misstep overshadowed his career, proving that even Hollywood's biggest rebel wasn't safe from political hatred. Lena Horne. Lena Horne was one of the brightest stars of classic Hollywood. But her political beliefs made her a target long before she became a legend. As a black woman in a segregated America, Horne used her fame to speak out against racial discrimination, something studios wanted her to stay quiet about. She supported civil rights groups, marched against injustice, and refused to perform for segregated audiences. But her courage came with a price. Government agencies placed her on watch lists, accusing her of having ties to left-wing political groups. Some studios refused to cast her in major roles because they feared her activism made her too controversial. Even within Hollywood, she faced backlash for challenging the status quo. Despite the obstacles, Horne never backed down. She believed her voice mattered even when it cost her opportunities. Her political bravery turned her into both a hero and a target during the most turbulent years of her career. Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra wasn't just a singer. He was a political firestorm wrapped in a superstar's body. During the 1940s and 50s, Sinatra became deeply involved in politics, using his fame to push for social change. He supported civil rights, publicly challenged racism, and campaigned for Democratic politicians. At first, his activism earned admiration, but soon it created massive backlash. Critics accused him of meddling in politics instead of sticking to entertainment. Rumors spread that he had ties to controversial political groups, while others claimed he was too close to powerful politicians. Later in life, Sinatra shocked fans by switching to the Republican side and becoming a close supporter of Ronald Reagan. The sudden shift angered both liberals and conservatives, turning him into one of the most politically divisive figures in Hollywood. Despite the hate, Sinatra never hid his beliefs. His political journey made him a legend, loved by some, despised by many.